Hello everyone. This video is going to be a bit controversial and maybe upset people and whatever, but this Wim Hof thing, I just feel like I see this more and more and more and more. This thing of people going to some place, sometimes to go to be with Wim Hof, or maybe just to be with maybe someone else in that world, I don't know, in order to expose themselves to cold water or cold atmosphere or whatever, for the purpose of what, really? You know what I mean? For the purpose of what? I'm not fully understanding what this is all about, exposing yourself to the cold. And, a lot of the people that I've known have been into this. It's funny because it's like, they still seem to complain about the cold weather or whatever, or they don't want to go out, or whatever. It's like I don't get this whole scene. And is it just for the challenge of trying to force your body to do things that it's trying to ask you not to do? So let me come at this from a whole other perspective, because it feels great to go into a cold shower and jump out. It feels good to go in a sauna and jump out. Any kind of extremes like that. It can make you feel really rejuvenated. It can make you feel kind of alive. It sort of feels kind of high for a while, clean, refreshed, and all these things. But is it actually of any benefit to anyone to do this? Is it of any benefit? Now, I follow hygiene. I follow the philosophy of hygiene. Hygiene is the science of human health, and all the things, all the factors, all the habits, all the thought processes, all the actions we can take that help to improve our health over time. The biggest thing being diet, by absolutely a million miles. The biggest impact on your health being your diet. Well, outside of like avoiding accidents and avoiding being beaten up and stuff like that, but your diet is the biggest factor, right? If we're avoiding like actually physical harm. And in hygiene, the philosophy is really that in order for health to happen, we have to embrace healthy habits and we have to remove unhealthy habits. And essentially, we have to get out of the body's way. The body has an innate wisdom that's been developed over 100 million years of evolution, maybe hundreds of years, of millions of years of evolution, maybe billions of years of evolution, from all the living beings that have come before us, that gradually have led up to us as a more complex system of different cells and network of whatever you want to call it, this body. And there's so many instinctive things that we have that are to take us away from harm and move us towards things that are good for us and so on. And in hygiene, what we want to do is get out of the way of the body to allow it to heal at its optimal level. It's the body alone that heals. Now, that's not to say that there's not situations where therapies and medication aren't necessary. There's definitely situations in which people require medication. There's people that require medication just to function. Type 1 diabetics being probably the most obvious example, but a whole number of different conditions out there that are very rare, mostly, of people that require medication, and situations where people get various, let's say, infections, let's say viral, bacterial things, whatever, that people need to take medication. And also the therapy of keeping people alive with fluids, with that kind of thing. That's kept a lot of people alive. So there's a lot of things in the medical movement that are absolutely valuable, keep people alive, and the body on its own wouldn't be able to overcome some of these things. Now, we could say that the body should never have been exposed to some of these things and wouldn't have been if we'd been in a natural environment. Fair enough, but that's not the case. But in general, what we actually, the body itself does most of the healing. And what we really want to do is allow the body to heal if we want to move towards health. We want to allow the body to heal at its highest capacity. Now, does jumping into cold water, walking up to the top of a mountain with no clothes on, do any of these things lead us towards better health? Now, if you're talking about pushing yourself, pushing your mind, the limits of your body, it's a practice that maybe helps you discipline yourself, challenge yourself. I agree with that. It definitely is. Is it something that you should embrace for health, for your mood? I don't really think so. Because all we're really doing is exposing our body to an extremely cold temperature, which it has to then adjust to, and then removing it from that temperature, which it then has to readjust to the normal room temperature. As you well know, whenever you're exposed to cold temperatures, cold weather, your natural instinct is to get away from that. It's not that you can't deal with it, but your natural instinct is to try and go towards heat. Partly because it's dangerous to be in the cold, because it doesn't take very long for a human to be exposed to the cold before we can die. And secondly, because it takes a lot of energy to be in a cold situation. We're losing a lot of energy trying to keep ourselves heated up. So for those reasons, we stay away from cold instinctively. People maybe say things like, well, when you expose yourself to the cold, the warmth, the blood circulates more, or we stimulate, or whatever. Stimulation is never a sign of something being healthy. Basically, stimulation is not an indicator of health. So I wouldn't suggest that you do this practice if you're thinking it's something that's healthy for you. Once again, if it's a discipline, if it's a practice of pushing yourself, of controlling yourself, discipline, or if you like the fact that it wakes you up in the morning, then I think that's all great. But the idea that this leads to you becoming healthier, or the other one is the idea that it stimulates chi, energy, or all that kind of stuff like prana. Once again, I don't think that's the case. It's maybe stimulating adrenaline, because you're exposing yourself to the cold. But the idea that it's stimulating chi or energy or any of that stuff is obviously it's kind of an untestable theory in a sense anyway. But no, from having a little bit of awareness of that stuff, I don't see that to be the case either. I don't know if some people who are doing this have a desire to put themselves in uncomfortable situations. If they feel like they don't deserve a nice warm shower, if they feel like they're weak, if they don't do this, if they want to strengthen themselves. A lot of men have, you see a lot of men attracted towards this thing. And I get the feeling there's part of that, of like wanting to test themselves, wanting to strengthen themselves, wanting to toughen up. But none of that is any connection towards health. If you're trying to get healthier, if you've got some disease in your life, getting tougher is not what you're trying to do. We're already incredibly tough. Like let's stop this conversation about this tough guy, that tough guy, he was tough, she was tough. Who cares, Who cares? Oh, he was really tough. You're not tough compared to cancer. You're not tough. compared to heart disease, compared to diabetes. That'll take you down every single time. You're not tough compared to giving up food addictions, which most people can't do. It doesn't matter how tough they are. All these tough guys out there. There's the guy called David Goggins or whatever, and all these people online. These people couldn't last. These people could not last in my diet for an hour. Never mind. I know raw vegans that, and all these tough guys, whatever, they do long runs and push themselves. I know raw vegans that outrun them in all of these things with no problem. It's not tough. And they're enjoying it and they're loving it. They're thriving. Partly because they feed their body right. But I was with a guy recently and he said, he came to a class that we did, and then he said that he almost felt like he had to punish himself. He'd walked there with a bag full of books, and then it was like he had to walk all the way back with the bag full of, and I liked it as an exercise, but it almost felt like the way he was telling us was almost like he had to punish himself or something. I don't like that. That's not my mentality about myself. Maybe I need a bit more of that, I don't know. But this thing is just, it's not good, it's not healthy. Your body doesn't need your help. Stop trying to toughen up. Stop trying to do something for the body to get to heal you or whatever. It's not going to happen. The body's doing it. You need to get out of the way. Herbert Shelton talked about this decades and decades and decades ago. Hydrotherapy is what it was called back then. This isn't a new thing. Nothing's new. Where they used to expose people to the cold, expose people to warm water, saunas. This goes back to at least 100 years ago, if not hundreds of years ago, where these kind of practices were done in an effort to help people get healthier. It doesn't have any effect. You cannot speed up the body's processes of healing apart from by getting out of the way, by removing things that prevent it from functioning optimally. This is a massive, important point to understand when it comes to health, healing and the body. You cannot ever in any way speed up the body's processes of elimination, detoxification, healing, purification, filtration, whatever you want to do, whatever you want to call it. The only thing you can do is remove any obstacles by changing your lifestyle to a lifestyle that is more optimal for your body to heal. That's why dry fasting is a terrible idea, because you just put another obstacle in the body's way. You dehydrate the body. It's a silly idea. What you're trying to do is remove obstacles. At that point, that's all you can do. You cannot then speed up. Doesn't matter how cold the water gets. You're not speeding up anything. Doesn't matter how warm the hot yoga room is. There is no extra detox happening. Zero. The body is way more intelligent than you at what it's trying to do. So it does not speed up. It does not, oh my God, it's cold, so I'm going to push out more toxins quickly. Oh, it's hot, I'm going to push out more toxins. No, it doesn't happen. Every single action, function in your body functions at a speed, at a rate that is most optimal to avoid you from being hurt in the process, but at the same time as fast enough that it avoids any problem if it didn't go fast, if it didn't go slower, if that makes any sense. Essentially, it does it in the absolute best speed and rate possible. And the only way, the best way obviously, is to rest if you want detoxification and all this stuff to happen faster. Not to expose yourself to something or go running or any of this kind of stuff. You can't speed up the body. You can't slow it down. No, you can slow it down by adding things, but you can't speed it up once you've got to a more optimal lifestyle. So if you're thinking that by exposing yourself to cold or by heat that you're somehow boosting your immune system or elimination, my personal thoughts on that is it's very, very unlikely, because The body doesn't just speed up because you do something to it, or slow down, or whatever. So, that's my thoughts on the video, on that whole thing. The Wim Hof thing, I'm just confused by this whole thing that's been, is kind of wanting to believe that human beings are magic. We're not magic, right? We're not polar bears, we're not penguins. I get it that some people can go underwater for longer. There's all sorts of limits we're unaware of, but at what cost? I know a guy that did the Wim Hof, that went up to the mountain with him and all that stuff. He's lost the feeling into his fingertips. Is that? I don't know if that's worth it. I mean, I don't know. Like, maybe it is. You know. I'm the kind of ripe candidate. I would have been ripe for all that stuff 10 years ago, 5 years ago. I would have been totally into all that and trying it out. And I did do cold showers back in the day. I don't even remember who told me to do it, but I was doing cold showers at one point and really liked it. And I do like the discipline of it and all that. And you do feel good when you come out. But kind of at what cost? You know. I'm not sure. I prefer the idea that I want to look after my body. I do want to stress it to some degree. I do want to stress it. I don't want to overstress it, but stress is good for the body to some degree as well. Exercise and so on. But I don't know, I've just not felt the desire to do the cold showers. Maybe like not moderately cool showers, but not cold showers. Not really felt the desire for it, you know. So anyway, thank you for watching the video. I guess I might as well mention that I'm doing my course, starting my beginner's guide to raw vegan online course thing. You might be watching this today or tomorrow. So last chance to sign up. Fruitfest.co.uk. I'll put the link below. Fruitfest.co.uk/product/course. You can check it out if you want to join me. If you don't, that's fine. Okay, so feel free to subscribe, share, leave your comments below, and we'll see you in the next video.